y'all doing? Today we're here with Vinnie Bullara from Unscarred. Talk about his record, Brutality 14. How's it going, Vin?
Good. How y'all doing?
What's up, buddy?
What's
You're
happening?
making it.
Thank y'all for having me.
No
Fired up.
problem.
We're
man.
just glad we get to talk about some rock and roll,
Yes,
some
indeed.
heavy
And,
metal.
Yes,
and
indeed.
see that motorcycle you
metal.
drove up
Yes,
on,
indeed.
man.
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
Sweet. We're going to get a pic of that and put it up here.
yeah.
Man, so what got you started in your talent, man, and wanting to pursue this stuff?
You start off listening to, just the popular stuff at the time, when you're growing
Yeah.
up. And
Were you a Headbangers Ball kid?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
And,
me
and the level of heaviness just increased as new
Sure.
bands came
Sure.
out, but
Yeah.
started off with, Rat and Motley Crue and that kind of stuff. And,
Mhm.
and of course, Van Halen, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
And
sure.
so then you start listening to that kind of stuff, and you're like, well, man, I want to play guitar like Eddie Van Halen,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it started. There was a guy who lived down my street that was 5 years older than I am, and he played guitar. And his sister, who was the tomboy in the neighborhood, we have neighborhood football games and all that stuff.
Sure.
And so I'd go over to their house, and I hear this sound, these songs that I know and love coming from the other room. So I go in there, he's playing along with Rat and Motley Crue and all that.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this is a dude I know, and he's actually doing this. I can do this,
Sure.
So he ended up selling me his guitar and amp, my first guitar and amp, and
Cool.
that's kind of how it started. I took, I think, 2 guitar lessons, and it just wasn't what I had in mind, so I just taught myself how to play. It's pretty much
Yeah.
how it
Yeah.
happened, and started learning all these songs by ear and everything. And that's kind of how it
Sweet.
began,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my brother was listening to Dio or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
man,
Ron
first
James
time.
Dio,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sabbath,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Ozzy and
Oh, yeah.
all that. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
back in the day. What influenced you to move forward, though, with
When I was, I guess I was a freshman in high school, and I just thought, I can find some guys that played. I knew some guys that played music, played instruments,
Sure.
and just said, man, let's put a little band together and just play our favorite songs, and play Metallica songs and Motley Crue songs and Anthrax songs and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And that's kind of how it started. And then once you start learning how to keep time and play with other people and get tight, well, then it's like, well, maybe what if I made up a riff, and
Yeah.
the ball just starts rolling, and you
Sure.
just start doing it, and that's how it is. And when I was in 10th grade, I got into a band with basically the musical superstars of Opelousas.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And there was going to be an Opelousas supergroup, and we were gonna play all of the best thrash metal of the day and write our own stuff a little bit. And we were serious. We were practicing 4 times a week and all this. And spring football started, and so I missed a few practices. And I go over. I'll tell you guys' name, Blair Daly. He's one of the biggest songwriters in Nashville now.
Mhm.
And we used to rehearse at Blair's house. So drive up, and one of the practices I make, and he and our drummer said, look, we need to talk to you. So we go outside, and like, look, you got to choose football and music. I said, got to go with football, man. So
Yeah.
I got out of that band as quick as I got into it,
Yeah.
But after that, kind of messed around here and there. And then I guess my junior year of high school, my cousin and his buddy, who is the guitar player in our band, they started a band because all these little bands popping up around Opelousas, and playing gigs in the park and stuff at the Civic Center and everything.
Sure.
And so people are like, well, I want to do that, And so you got a guy who's 3 years younger than you are, and like looking at you like you're Eddie Van Halen. I want to play in a band. So they started a band. They called me and wanted me to play in it, and I was like, nah, I'm really not interested, And they begged me and begged me and begged me. So I went and checked it out, and then ended up joining the band and saying, look, let's do this, and let's play this song, and you need to do this, and ended up, that became the band that I've been in and out of. I say in and out of. We've been active and non-active since '89, I guess.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's
So-
awesome.
Well, you mentioned Opelousas. Tell us a little more about your background, where you're from, what you do. I know you're a football coach.
Yep. Been
And,
coaching 22 years.
Yeah.
Born in New Orleans, but only because my dad was in dental school there at the time. Both my parents are from Opelousas.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when he was done, we moved back. So I was raised in Opelousas. Lived here all my life except coaching, moving jobs. So lived in Baton Rouge for a while. But Yeah, pretty much raised and lived in Opelousas all my life.
Mm-hmm. With the college or
College at USL when I was there.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
but
go Cajuns.
yeah, go Cajuns, no doubt. So yeah, that's local dude.
Yeah,
Pretty much been around here the whole time.
that's awesome, man.
Yep.
I know you talked about some of your influences, but who influenced you the most into playing music, into pursuing your music dreams, so to say, or talents?
Man, just I guess it begins with Eddie Van Halen. Because anybody who plays guitar, it's my age, I guess it starts with him. But just all these bands we listen to, and like I said, you just get to a point where you can play all of Kill 'Em All, and you can put the album on and just play along with it every song, and then you're like, all right, well, wonder if I can learn Among the Living and put that on. And you play that, so you get to where you're playing along with every album you have. It's like, well, I want to write a song, and
Sure.
and that's just kind of all those bands that I grew up listening to, and just kind of my musical heroes. It's like, well, I want to make music that sounds like that.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, I know you're from Louisiana, but with a name like Bullara,
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be some Italian
Yeah, no
ties
doubt.
there. So we hit everybody for what their favorite food dish is.
Oh, definitely Italian food. My grandfather came to America from Sicily when he was, I think, 5 or 6 years old with his family. So yeah, my grandfather was one of the coolest stories ever. My grandfather speaks very little English, came from Italy, and he was in the service. I think he was in the army, and it's during the war, and the troops were coming through Opelousas. There was a kind of a base or something here,
Yeah.
and my grandmother, who was a Corville Cajun lady,
Uh-huh.
was volunteering to help with the troops and do whatever they needed to do, and they met and ended up getting
That's
married,
it.
and he
Wow.
settled down
Yeah.
here in Opelousas.
So they did most of the training for D-Day at Fort Polk. So
Yeah.
actually, that's probably where that came from.
Yeah. So that's what happened there. So I had a full-blooded Italian grandfather and a full-blooded Cajun grandmother. And they had
The best of both worlds.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Some spicy
yeah,
Italian
that's
food.
right. Every Sunday at Mama Bulara's house, we had spaghetti and meatballs, and everybody was there with eggs in it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Original
eggs in it.
stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Italian food definitely.
That's it. Well, I know you coach football.
Yeah.
And have been doing that for years. Any other outside interests besides music and football in your life?
Man, as far as hobbies, I mean, that's really all there is. I mean, football is not a hobby, but playing music is, and just that's really it. I mean, I try to stay active and everything, and
Sweet.
lift weights and play some racquetball and stuff. But
Any up and coming young Bullara rockers or?
man, my middle son plays guitar a little bit, but he just kind of messes around with it, But he's got a good ear. He can pick stuff up and play by ear, so that's cool. But that's about it. The good thing about my kids is they got a real musical education from me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they can educate their friends who think they're listening to real music. They can educate them. My oldest son actually sent me a text yesterday, or the day before, saying what class is he in? He's a computer science major, some computer class.
Yeah.
He said, my professor just asked if anybody knew who the lead singer of Suicidal Tendencies was, and everyone looked at him like, what are you talking about? And I was the only one who knew. And I said, that's because you raised right.
That's right. That's right.
That's kind of funny because a lot of those computer science majors, they're a little, to themselves, off the wall, kind of like,
Right.
that type that listens to
Right.
Suicidal Tendencies
Right.
and underground
That's
type
right.
stuff, That's a trip, man.
Well, we're going to take a short pause, and when we get back, we're going to find out about how your students, when they found out you were a rock star, and
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that in a minute. Thanks for joining us.
So many times,
We got Vinnie here. You want to tell us about coaching football and what everybody thinks about all the students when they find out you're a rock star.
I halfway deny it, and then somebody will pull up a picture on the internet, and
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, maybe that's true, maybe that's not true. It's on the internet, and you gotta believe everything you see on the internet.
Oh,
Might be
yeah,
true,
yeah.
might not be true. And
Yeah.
you know, so it's just like, well, you're this man of mystery. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get a kick out of that. I mean, I've played guitar at pep rallies before,
Sure.
and you know all that kind of stuff, and you know, so I mean, it's funny. You know,
What
and it's
position do
fun.
you coach?
I'm the offensive coordinator at Catholic High Point Capee and New
Offense
Roads.
coordinator. Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
And prior to that, you were at Westminster.
Yeah, I was the head coach at Westminster, athletic director there for 4 years. I've been all over the place. Been at Westminster, Christian Life in Baton Rouge, St. Thomas More, now at Catholic High in Point Capee. So
That's great, man.
And what does Mrs. Bullara think about all your antics?
my better half,
Notice that pause.
my better half,
Your good
loves,
side, right?
yeah, she loves everything that I
Yeah,
do,
that's
including my music.
That's great.
Yeah, she was back in the day when we just first started playing our own gigs and not opening. She was the band bookkeeper, and she collected all the money and did the ticket sales and all that stuff for us back in the day when we were in
Okay.
college. Yeah,
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
yeah,
She's
Yeah.
the roadie.
yes, she was the roadie, but she did all the light lifting.
Stage.
Yeah.
Oh, she's the tour manager.
Yeah,
She has probably a much more productive career now, right?
yes, absolutely, absolutely. That one was not paying the bills.
Oh, yeah. How's your faith played a role in this?
Man, pretty much all of our lyrics are Christian based or biblical based lyrics. It's important to me that my faith come out. I'm the principal songwriter. I write all the lyrics. I pretty much write all the music, or at least the riffs, and then kind of work it out with the rest of the band.
Sure.
But you know, so it's important for me to, you know, whatever little platform I may have to, you know, sing about things I believe in
Yeah.
and sing
Yeah.
about things that are true. You know, so my faith impacts all of my life. You know, everything that I do,
Yeah.
including my music.
Sure. You know, I never understood how people could take heavy metal as being a bad thing because a lot of guys, even Ozzy himself, a lot of people, you know, but he sings about God, you know, and he's singing about faith and being a good Christian and stuff like that. And a lot of people just don't want to take the words for what they are. They
There's a
wanna make
lot
it
of
something else, you know.
you know, I try to tell people when you look at the music that I play and that whole scene, the guys, the bands that I really listen to, a lot of those guys, these are serious musicians. And a lot of them, especially now as they get older, a lot of them are coming to faith. And all of this sex, drugs, and rock and roll stuff, that's not really in the, especially in thrash metal, which is kind of my main genre. You don't really see that much. These guys are, I always say, the best musicians in the world are jazz musicians, and then next in line are thrash metal musicians. You know,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not that far of a stretch for me to be able to have faith-based lyrics
No,
in
of
our
course not.
songs
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's I don't know that I just never got into all that stuff even growing up. I mean, even when I was growing up, the lyrics meant something to the bands I listened to. They had meaning.
Sure.
There's a reason they were writing about this cause
Story
or this,
behind it.
you know, and
Mhm.
you know that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
Sure.
And sure, I listen to Motley Crue and Rat and all that, and that's all
Yeah.
about the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But you know, I mean,
That's the pop culture
Yeah.
type of rock.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
I always loved more music, you know, like people say like Ronnie James Dio, you know,
Yeah.
because Dio had a degree in philosophy
right,
Yeah.
and taught
Yeah.
philosophy at the university, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so every song he had there was always I called an undercover meeting to
Yeah,
all the
sure.
songs.
yeah,
You know, and you never knew what he was singing about. Some people
Right.
thought he was singing about the devil. Some people thought he was singing about God. Some people, you know, thought he
Yeah.
was just singing about some esoteric,
Yeah.
subject.
right,
But it was really cool to me because every time you looked at, depending on what angle you looked at, which
Right.
is true for music, period.
oh yeah, no doubt,
Your opinion, affects, what you believe and what you
That's right.
read or see, kind
Right.
of thing, of the story and your interpretation of the story.
Right.
And that's what I liked about his stuff. Him and King's X.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah, I was
another
thinking
one
about them just a
that I
second
really
ago.
liked, because their stuff was a little deeper. It wasn't just
When Iron Maiden, it's almost like you're getting a
Yeah.
history lesson.
Yeah.
We when I was a
More
senior,
cowbell, baby.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Sorry if that's copyrighted. I didn't mean to steal it from nobody. It doesn't belong to me. I'm just saying.
I was a senior in high school.
Dickinson,
We
baby.
we did the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
Yeah,
We did the
yeah.
whole poem,
Yeah,
and
sure.
the Iron Maiden song is basically the whole poem.
Yeah.
And so I did nothing in class the whole 2 weeks or 3 weeks we covered the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, and I knew everything about it
Yeah.
because I listened to Iron Maiden. And all you people all these years that saying, "Oh, you're a Satan worshiper," and what are you
Yeah,
listening to?
Yeah.
This is
Stuff
what I'm
was
listening
killing
to.
your brain.
I'm listening to literature.
Yeah.
You know?
My
Yeah.
son came home from school one day. It was this year. And he walks in. He goes, "Dad." He goes, ever heard of Iron Maiden? You know, and I started playing something on the guitar. And
Yeah.
he was shocked. He was like, "Well, our teacher played in class. They were talking." He started talking about, you know, the literature that they were studying,
Right.
the trooper and all that. He
Yeah.
was like, "Man, that's cool." I was like, "Well, yeah, dude. This, you know, of course, all the stuff that we loved is now classic rock.
Right.
You know,
That irks me. When I hear Iron Maiden or something off of
Yeah.
Diary of a Madman on a classic rock station.
Yeah.
That's not classic rock. That's metal. Call it what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I would have
Yeah.
died to hear Ozzy and Iron Maiden and Anthrax on the radio when I was 15.
Oh, I know, right?
And,
Yeah.
you
We had
know,
to listen
Never
to
in a million
CDs.
years would you hear that.
Yeah.
But now,
Tapes.
Yeah.
they play it. So
I
you
agree.
got Iron Maiden one song and then Kansas the next. Which nothing against Kansas, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
they belong to different stations.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always loved Kansas.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were
Of
great.
course.
That famous album they had that cover
Mhm.
photographs.
So speaking about albums, anything in the
Yeah,
near
tell-
future
tell us
for
about-
Unscarred?
Yeah, this one right here is our first album came out in 1994. It was a Cajun record company, Vidrine Records.
Mhm.
Sure.
And they didn't really know how to record our music, but we paid no money. They signed us to this little deal, and we had our stuff recorded. So we never really were happy with it. And for years, we just kicked around the idea of we ought to re-record that, And well, now with all of the technology and the software and everything, so we said we're gonna re-record it, and we wrote new lyrics to it and freshened up some of the music on it. But these are really very old songs. So we're actually in the process of recording a new album right now, with new
great.
material,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a lot more thrash oriented. This is kind of all over the place. A lot of our influences can be heard in here, from Iron Maiden to Pantera, But we're actually working on a new one right now. So
Great.
next couple months, hopefully a new Unscarred album will be out. We're excited about it. Yeah.
Come back. We'll crank it
Oh,
up.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah, most
absolutely.
You heard it right here. We're hanging out with Vinnie Bullara from Unscarred.
Brutality 14.
There it is. That's the one right there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm
Check
Hoyt.
it out. I'm Corey.
And I'm Vinny from Unscarred
From
and
Unscarred.
various other places.
That's it. Well, till next time, y'all give a hoot and a holler to Coot and a collar. Have a great day.